What's going on, guys and girls? Luca Holsevar here from Vigor Ground Fitness Performance with my main guy, the manager, the myth, the legend, Adrian Robles, as I like to call him every morning. All right, so today we've been getting a lot of questions about pressing movements, right? And more specifically, we're going to cover bench press and things like that on another time. But the issue that we actually see more is with overhead pressing. The truth is that, you know, some people, and quite a good amount of people, should not be doing overhead presses with certain implements. Today we're going to cover kettlebell press, barbell press. We're going to mention some things about the dumbbell press. But, you know, here at Vigor Ground, what we usually do right off the bat is have an assessment of, you know, put it this way, where we are structurally. Are people like really kyphotic, forward head posture? You know, can they even get overhead? And the truth is, we do this overhead flexion test, and if there's pain, if there's, you know, limits in external rotation, elbows bend, forward head posture starts popping up, we just won't press at the beginning of the program because, like I said, we also assess, did they have previous injury, rotator cuff tears, labrum stuff. So a lot of different, you know, we're going to go deep into that and find out, should they even be pressing? Is that good for them? And if not, we replace those things with a lot of push-up variations, core trainer presses, you know, where we can get this angle and not be overhead. So there's a lot of different things that we look at. And honestly, you know, overhead pressing for a lot of people in snatching, jerking, and things like that, they're great exercises, but some people need to work up to have better structural integrity to be able to do them. It's as simple as that. But, you know, for everybody that can, we're going to go over some really awesome cues how to get more out of the exercise. Better tension, better position, and just put it this way, supercharge the exercise for you to get the most out of it, you know, not have any pain and get as much tension and quality, okay? So we're going to start off, we're not going to touch on the clean. Adrian's going to clean this kettlebell up to that rack position, right? Now, if you see where Adrian's at right now, one of the things that, you know, we used to do more of, and this was kind of like a strong first thing, is where you'd see that wrist be in and you'd be okay here, right? But now we're moving everything to that vertical position. So that elbow is straight under the wrist. You can see that straight line. You can see his knuckles pointing straight up. And he's probably got a little bit of pressure on the forearm. So, you know, usually I tell people, hey, are you feeling it on the forearm? And they say, yeah, I am. And I'm like, sorry, right? Pucker up. So, but you know, if that's bugging you, honestly, we'll do pads, right? Bandanas and different stuff like that you can wear. But honestly, it kind of goes away pretty damn fast. But now, right, we don't have any problems happening with the wrist. Elbow is right underneath. And, right, you can see Adrian's arm is out, right? So this gives us this nice little trajectory when we go up from here. So let's do a regular press, right? Pressing overhead, bringing it back down, controlled, boom, right, same position. We'd probably stay right here. Now, here's the thing, is like, you know, we do everything from this position. Now, there's a couple of things that we want to focus on, right? One of the things that I like is, which has been taught, is that the hand, right, you'll see Adrian's hand start squeezing the crap out of it, so we get this synergy, right? Because if I squeeze here, I get tension coming across, and now it's easier to press that weight again, right? And bringing it back down, okay? Now, so I can guarantee you this. Try to press it with this hand soft, right? And then press it, squeeze in that other hand, right? You're going to get more full body tension and a better base of support to press off. You're going to be stronger, and it's going to be safer, right? So I'm going to kind of keep building up on this because, like I said, Adrian's going to clean it again. Now we're going to add something a little bit extra that's from the ground up. So we're going to get Adrian's legs in line with his shoulders. He's got pretty wide shoulders, so you can stand a little wider. Now, from that position, I'm going to tell Adrian to start dialing the floor. So he's going to rip that floor apart and dial it. So not like this, but he's going to dial his feet. And as he's doing that, he's getting all these external rotators firing. His butt's going to be tight, squeezing his fist, elbow under wrist, and he's going to start pressing up. Bam, and then controlling it down. Real quick, we're going to do one rep because this is what we teach a lot. On the way down, we basically pretend like there's a pull-up happening, right? So I don't want to get him too tired just waiting in that overhead position, right? But when we're in this overhead position, on the way down, imagine that you have two hands up and you're, right? It actually works that lat on that pull down, right? Which is a great analogy because you'll see people press it up and then just kind of like they don't have that deceleration here, and we actually want to work on that. So on the way down, right? So we're creating more tension. We're improving that movement pattern. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Now, we're going to add something a little extra. So you'll see when Adrian cleans it, right? So we're going to add a bunch of different stuff. He starts ripping his feet apart, squeezing that fist. Now, when he comes up, he's going to start hissing out. And control it down. Pull it back down. All right, one more. Hissing out. And bringing it back down. Nice. And just put it down for a second. All right, so when we're hissing out, right, pretty much we're not allowing ourselves to go in extension. In presses, you will see this is one of the main patterns, right? We're not even pressing overhead, right? We're pressing out here, and our low back is kind of compensating, making us feel like we did press overhead. So, you know, when you're already living in extension, doing that is really going to beat your back up. And you're going to feel it, right? A lot of times you have people military press, next day wake up and go like, man, it was upper body day. Why is my low back so tight, right? So beat up. And that's why. So when we hiss, we create this intra-abdominal pressure that gets our rib cage down, right? And that allows us to, basically even neurologically, right, I can't even go into extension like that, right? It really prevents it. And if I do, this is kind of resisting it. So we're having the right muscles work, right? And we want to finish overhead. Now, because there's a lot of patterns ingrained, as much as I love the fist and creating that tension and ripping it apart, here's what we started teaching for people, because you'll get this left rib cage flare, right, that we kind of get taught in PRI, right, flaring the rib cage as is, but the left one comes up. So Adrian's going to actually put his hand right down here and kind of feel it, right? So when he presses, and he can still hiss out, nice. He can actually get that muscle raking, right, to see, to keep it down. Because a lot of times, sometimes people go, and then they kind of lose it, right? They hold their breath, and it flares. This tells me right off the bat, right? So if you was going to do one on your right side, Adrian, right? So on the right, he's just going to keep it right here, on that left side a little bit, underneath. Nice, good position, right? And coming back down. Right? If he was doing it on the left side, he'd come across with the right and hold it there again. Because you can feel if you're flaring up, you can feel if you're rotating, right? Because we want to feel what's happening with our body. We want this to be stable, right? We're not just training our shoulder, we're training our core, right? We're training that stability, okay? So essentially, you know, a big part of it, when we create that spiral, so when we rip the floor apart and we spiral those feet, we create this spiral tension coming up, and it helps us be tight all over, right? Because you will see, especially on the single arm side, but on both sides, right? The presses, you start getting hips twisting, everything's turning, going into extension, right? Anything to get that weight up. But if our goal is to get stronger, if our goal is tension, if our goal is structural integrity, work as many muscles as possible and keep, you know, I would say be in good positions with our joints, right? Then we have to start coaching and cueing ourselves on these little things that are going to make a world of difference. Okay, so remember just some of the things that we covered here and start implementing them into your routine. Now, if you keep your rib cage down and you cannot come overhead without tightness here in the shoulder and pain and not being able to lock out your elbow, like I said, maybe that's not the best move for you right now, and we could do some core trainer presses or barbell presses in this direction. We'll cover that in another video. Okay, so use some of that stuff. It will supercharge your training, I promise you that. But, you know, at the beginning, guess what? It's going to be tougher because you're using more muscles. You're not leaning on joints. You're not doing all these different things. Okay, so if we were doing, I would say, dumbbell work, it would be very similar. Like we try to keep dumbbells in a neutral position, elbow under, right? We don't turn them here. Most people are not going to be happy here because they have those protracted shoulders is going to beat him up, right? So we try to keep it neutral. And another thing that I'm going to say is, you know, we've seen this taught a lot. Right? I'm going to just cover this one more thing. Let's clean it back up, Adrian. Okay. We've been taught a lot to pack our shoulders, pack everything down, right? But here's the thing. If I have, even with me, you can see that my right shoulder, I'm going to exaggerate it. My right shoulder is depressed, right? It's already really tight back into extension. So if somebody cleans and like actually packs even more on a very depressed shoulder, and you'll usually see this in people that have like one shoulder lower than the other one, and you tell them to pack it, it's actually going to hurt them more because his scapula is kind of turned this way, right? So what we actually coach and cue on this is to shrug it up a little bit and then turn that shoulder blade down, right? So now he's in a better position. He's still going to keep his core tight, and then when he's going to press, he's going to actually shrug just a little bit. So you're going to press it up and back down and break. So this depends, and we will assess somebody, you know, depending on where they are. So if they're really depressed, sometimes when they get that kettlebell or their dumbbell here, they go like, oh, I'm feeling like some tweakiness and tightness and stuff like that. And if they don't have good scapular upward rotation, right, we're going to shrug it up a little bit to help with that, and they might be out of pain like that, right? But that does come down to an assessment. So I just wanted to mention that because it does matter. It matters what's going on with your shoulder. If it's collapsed here and all depressed, we want to get it elevated and downwardly rotated and get a better position for that press. Now, I'm going to move the kettlebell away real quick. Adrian's going to grab the barbell, right? Now, I will say this, right? With the barbell, with the barbell, a lot of times we just won't start people here. A lot of people just cannot start in this position, okay? But we're going to be basically the same way. You know, we're not teaching this clean position, jerk position. We want to keep those knuckles up straight, butts tight. We're torquing the floor because with the barbell, there's even more chance of that extension, right? So Adrian's going to try to break the bar, right? So he breaks the bar, he gets a good stability and a good base to press off of. And as soon as he's gonna torque the floor, he's gonna hiss out, and then he's gonna finish through a little bit. I always say armpits out, right? So when he presses, armpits out is gonna basically externally rotate his shoulder and get more stability in his sockets, right? So knuckles are still up, he's gonna hiss out and get those, there you go, get those armpits out. And he's squeezing his butt. His rib cage is pretty good because he hissed out, and then he's bringing it back down. Same path, staying tight. And we look at here, this position, you know, if somebody's, let's do a bad one where your shoulder collapses a little bit, right? See, now I feel his humerus sliding forward. We don't like that, so you'll see this, right? And we want nice stability, so the elbows are going to be up a little bit, knuckles up. He's going to basically try to bend the bar and break it. He's ripping the floor, armpits out, nice, and bringing it back down, and break. And you can see, like, we're not even doing a lot of reps. We are, like, you know, and Adrian's working. And it's not because he's not in great shape, because he's in great shape, because I'd be sweating my ass off, because these reps, I mean, he's, like, using his whole body. Everything, every inch of his body from the top, from the ground up is getting worked. And that's the big difference. We didn't put any weight on the bar, and trust, Adrian can press some heavy kettlebells, but just using those, it was so much work, because he was obviously using all the different muscles. Now, here's the thing. If you want to get better results, and you lower the weight, and you use these cues, right, the exercise is going to be harder. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to start getting better results. Then build it back up, and do it the right way, and watch you supercharge. Like, literally, you're going to try to do some PRs on presses or on bench press, and it's going to go through the roof, right? So, implement some of those, like I said, into your dumbbell pressing, your kettlebell pressing, or your barbell presses, and just remember that, you know, you may not be ready for certain things, and, you know, have the, I would say, you know, the ability to call that and say, like, hey, you know, something's not feeling right, I'm going to regress the movement and do something else, right? Kettlebells are much better when it comes to pressing if you have any issues. You know, barbells are kind of like the last step, okay? So put that into play. Me and Adrian are out. We're going to be back with some more tips from Vigor Round Fitness and Performance.